This is none of my concern. I didn't ask for any of this!
Welcome back to Director's Choice. I think we can all agree that Up is one of the saddest Pixar movies ever made. The movie's depressing intro is enough to break anyone's heart, but unfortunately, that's not the only sad thing about Up. Like all Pixar movies, animated movies, and just movies in general, Up has been subjected to a slew of fan theories, and very few have been pleasant. Up is already a pretty sad movie, so it's not surprising that the fan theories that surround it are just as depressing. There are many Up theories out there, but this one is particularly sad, so brace yourself. When Up came out in 2009, it was far from what people expected. Pixar is no stranger to depressing storylines, but the story of Up was particularly heartbreaking. We watched Carl and Ellie go through life together, and ultimately, we watched Carl lose the love of his life. It seems impossible for such a sad story to get any sadder, but trust me, it can. The Up theory takes an already gloomy story and makes it even more tragic. Carl killed Ellie. When Carl and Ellie meet in the movie, they discover that they are both huge fans of Charles Muntz, and that instantly connects them. They spend time together, playing in Ellie's clubhouse, which is just an old abandoned house in their neighborhood. Ellie and Carl grow up together, and Carl eventually buys her the same house they played in while they were kids. Unfortunately, it was this kind gesture that led to Ellie's demise. When the movie begins, Carl's 10 years old in the flashback, but in present time he's 78. Because Carl is 78, that means he was born in the 1930s. And since he and Ellie are about the same age, it's safe to assume that she was also born in the 1930s. After meeting each other, falling in love, and getting married, Carl buys Ellie the old house they used to play in. They start their new lives together and even try to have kids. Sadly, Carl and Ellie were never able to have kids. In the end, they let go of their dream of being parents and instead decided to chase another dream. When they were kids, Ellie told Carl that she wanted to move her clubhouse to a cliff that overlooked Paradise Falls. After years of struggling to make ends meet, Carl finally saved up enough money to take his wife on the trip she had been dreaming about since she was a kid. But before he could even tell her about the surprise trip, Ellie fell sick and eventually died, leaving Carl all alone in the house they renovated together. The sad Up theory suggests that Carl's decision to buy the house is what ultimately killed Ellie. According to this theory, the house is what killed Ellie. Houses made before the 1940s in the US used lead-based paint, which is very harmful. Carl and Ellie were born in the 1930s, and the house they played in as kids looked much older than them, which means that the paint in the house has high levels of paint. Carl and Ellie had already been exposed to the lead as kids. Buying a house, Carl doomed them both. Lead exposure can lead to reproductive issues and even cause miscarriages, which explains why Ellie struggled to have kids. The lead in the house was killing her, and they didn't even know it because lead poisoning kills slowly. It could take months or even years. The lead weakens your body over time. When somebody is exposed to high levels of lead, it stays in their bones and causes their bones to decay slowly. Continuous exposure to lead, which is exactly what Ellie experienced while living in their house, will eventually kill you. Her bones were slowly decaying, which is why she couldn't climb the hill to meet Carl. Carl loved Ellie, and he would have never done anything to hurt her, but in the end, he unknowingly caused her death. I know what you're thinking. If Carl and Ellie played in the house together as kids and lived there together as adults, then why is Ellie dead and Carl still alive? They were both subjected to the same amount of lead exposure, so why didn't it affect Carl? Why is he still alive? But what if I told you he wasn't? What if I told you that Carl is also dead? Carl is dead. Up is a movie that focuses on one old man's determination to fulfill the dream of his late wife, but there's so much more going on in the movie that people don't realize. Carl's determined to take the trip to Paradise Falls that he and Ellie never could. The deeper meaning of this trip to Paradise Falls is that it is actually a trip to heaven. This theory suggests that Carl died shortly after Ellie, and that his ascending house was depicting his ascension into heaven. He is guided by a Boy Scout named Russell, who is actually a guardian angel. Russell was assigned to help Carl make it to heaven, so he and Ellie could reunite. Russell tells Carl that he is one badge away from becoming a senior wilderness explorer. Since Russell is a guardian angel, senior wilderness explorer actually means earning his wings. So in the real sense, Russell is one badge away from receiving wings. He was sent to Earth to help Carl so he could earn his wings. The last badge Russell needs is assisting the elderly. After getting this badge, he will finally be able to become a winged angel. Russell offers to help Carl cross the street or any other place that needs crossing. He is determined to help Carl even if the older man doesn't want it, and he does this by guiding him into the afterlife.
Good afternoon. My name is Russell, and I am a wilderness explorer in Tribe 54.
Slow down.
Wet Lodge 12.
Kid!
Russell helped Carl cross over into the afterlife. Paradise Falls is Carl's vision of heaven, which is why it's called Paradise Falls. This place is Carl's definition of eternal paradise, aka heaven. The house Carl floats in represents his connection to the physical world. It anchors him down, so the house rising and flying away symbolizes Carl's transition from the earth into the spiritual realm. His journey is complete after he lets go of the house. When he let go of the house, he cut off his attachment to the physical world, which allowed him to enter heaven and reunite with Ellie. According to this theory, Carl had been dead since the movie began, and everything we watched was his transition into the afterlife. His house floating up showed him going up to heaven along with Russell, who serves as his guardian angel. Charles Muntz is the devil. Charles being the devil may sound crazy, but if you think about it, it actually makes sense. He was disgraced and cast out by his own people, just like an angel who was disgraced and cast out of heaven. So in this theory, Russell represents a good angel and Charles represents a fallen angel, aka the devil. While Russell does all he can to take Carl's spirit to heaven, Charles does all he can to take Russell's spirit to hell. Two sides are battling for the soul of one man. This theory also suggests that Charles' many pet dogs are actually hellhounds. Other up theories. Another up theory that is certainly worth mentioning suggests that Russell represents the baby Carl and Ellie couldn't have. He's the child that never made it into this world, which is why he is an angel. In this theory, Carl died after the court deemed him a public menace. The theory goes on to suggest that Charles and the dog are actually parts of Carl's personality. Just as Russell represents the child Carl could never have, Charles and Doug represent different parts of his personality. Doug represents Carl's loyalty to Ellie, as seen throughout the movie when Doug remained fiercely loyal to Carl. As expected, Charles represented Carl's bad side. He represents the grouchy old man who's angry at the world. And finally, Kevin the bird is a representation of Ellie. Fan theories can be outrageous, but they're also a lot of fun. It's great to see what people come up with and how different stories resonate with different people. The Up theory is depressing, but it also shows everything Carl was willing to do to reunite with Ellie. What do you think about the Up theory? Do you think Carl was dead from the very beginning? Was Russell really a guardian angel, or was he just a Boy Scout? Let me know what you think in the comments section. That brings us to the end of today's video. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon below so you never miss a video.